For a primer for exercise 2, we're going to actually have a chance to parameterize a simple workflow. This workflow, it's a little more than just hello world. You're actually going to generate some statistics about an alignment file. You're going to use software Samtools, specifically the flagstat command. This software takes an input of a SAM file and generates as output some alignment statistics of that SAM file. So we're going to provide you a skeleton that's already partially complete. There's going to be multiple ways to solve this assignment, but this is really a chance for you to apply the things we just talked about into a real bioinformatics workflow. So you're going to go ahead and open up in Instruct into exercise 2. Your task is going to be to set the runtime to use the Samtools Docker container. And then you're going to also parameterize the Samtools command so that it uses the input SAM in the command task. And you can, if you would like, you could try and parameterize it even further. But be sure to update the metrics.json if you add any additional inputs or define, basically just if you add any additional inputs, which you have to update the metrics.json. And just one thing before we get started, if you set a runtime of the Docker container, if you are hard coding it, you might want to add quotes to it. You have to add codes for a hard coded Docker container. Everything you need to do this exercise is in the exercise 2 directory. The solutions are provided. There are multiple solutions to this, possible correct solutions to this problem, but try not to look at them until we go over it later. And also the commands to run it are going to be on top right here. So one question is, does spacing matter? WDL is not like Python in the sense that tabs and spacing matters too much. Start with the most simple solution that you think will work, and then maybe try and customize it later. So let's go over one of the potential solutions. Like I said, there are multiple solutions possible for this example. This is the assignment right here. Notice I've had mini SAM rather than NA12878. There's a little typo there. But for this simple solution, basically, I'm using a hard-coded Docker file. This actually should have been in quotes. It should be correct in the actual Instruct environment. This would have actually needed some quotes to run. And I've parameterized the Samtools flagstat command so that it includes, so that it calls the parameter input SAM that we're feeding into this workflow. It's still outputting to the mini.sam.metrics file, and it's exposing that file as an output to the task. And the overall workflow is exposing the output of the task as the output for the workflow. But we can parameterize this workflow even more. So this is another potential solution. In it, I'm creating a variable called stats, and I'm using a function from the WDL standard library called basename. What the basename function does is it basically takes a file and it turns that file into a string. You can also do some more stuff to this function, like remove certain characters or remove the extension, but I'm going to keep the file as it is. I'm just going to turn it into a string and append to that string .metrics so that this workflow can be reused no matter what output I'm giving it. So I don't have to hard code the name of that output. And then using that stats variable that I've defined, and in here, I am using a parameterized value called Docker image that I've also defined as an input variable. So what that basically means is that in my JSON file, I actually have to define what Docker image, what value this Docker image should be, and I would go ahead and input the Samtools container there. But like I said, in some cases, you may want to hard code what container you are going to use in terms of like wanting to make sure this workflow is more secure, so you know exactly what container is going into your execution environment, or if you want your workflow to be precisely reproducible.